They promised salvation. They delivered fear. Across America, hidden behind closed doors and charismatic smiles, cults have flourished, some in plain sight, others in the shadows. But what exactly is a cult? A cult is typically defined as a small group of people with extreme or unorthodox beliefs, often centered around a single leader who demands absolute loyalty. These groups isolate their members, manipulate their minds, and sometimes commit acts so dark they defy belief. From spiritual communes to doomsday bunkers, from Hollywood connections to mass tragedies. This is the story of how cults shaped America's darkest chapters. And the question remains, could you recognize a cult before it's too late? They believed the end was near, but no one expected it to come in flames. This is the story of the Branch Davidians. The group began in 1955, founded by Benjamin Rodin as a splinter from the Davidian Seventh-day Adventists, itself an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Their beliefs centered on apocalyptic prophecy, biblical literalism, and the idea that their leader was a modern-day prophet. In the 1980s, a young man named Vernon Howell, later known as David Koresh, rose to power. Charismatic and controversial, Koresh claimed to be the Lamb of God, destined to open the 7 seals from the book of Revelation. Under Koresh, the group settled at Mount Carmel Center near Waco, Texas, stockpiling weapons and preparing for the end times. Allegations of child abuse, polygamy, and illegal firearms led to a raid by the ATF on February 28, 1993. A gunfight erupted, killing 6 Branch Davidians and 4 ATF agents. What followed was a 51-day siege by the FBI, ending on April 19, 1993, when agents launched tear gas into the compound. A fire broke out. 76 people, including 28 children, died in the blaze. The tragedy sparked national debate about religious freedom, government overreach, and the psychology of cults. In the remote desert towns of Hilldale, Utah, and Colorado City, Arizona, a secretive religious empire thrived for nearly a century. It was called the FLDS Church, the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Founded in the early 1900s by Mormon fundamentalists who rejected the mainstream LDS Church's ban on polygamy, the FLDS built a community where plural marriage wasn't just accepted, it was sacred. The group believed that men must have at least 3 wives to reach the highest level of heaven. Women were taught to obey their husbands without question, and children were raised in isolation from the outside world. For decades, the FLDS was ruled by Rulon Jeffs, a man with over 60 children and more than 20 wives. But in 2002, his son Warren Jeffs took over, and everything changed. Warren declared himself the living prophet of God. He controlled marriages, education, finances, and even law enforcement in the FLDS stronghold known as Short Creek. Under his rule, girls as young as 12 were forced into marriages with older men. Families were split apart. Dissenters were excommunicated and banished. In 2006, Warren Jeffs was placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. He was captured later that year and eventually convicted of aggravated sexual assault and rape as an accomplice. He is now serving a life sentence in Texas. But even from prison, Jeffs continued to issue commands to his followers. His sermons were smuggled out and treated as scripture. Today, the FLDS Church still exists, though fractured. Many members have left, and Short Creek is slowly reclaiming its freedom. But the scars remain. They serve sandwiches, They preach salvation. But behind the rustic charm of the Yellow Deli lies one of the most secretive and disturbing religious movements in the world, the 12 Tribes. Founded in 1972 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, by Elbert Gene Spriggs, also known as Yannick, the 12 Tribes began as a Christian revivalist group aiming to restore the original church described in the Book of Acts. Members live communally, give up personal possessions, and follow a strict interpretation of the Bible. They believe in creating 12 literal tribes to prepare for the return of Jesus, whom they call Yahshua. The group operates businesses like the Yellow Deli and Mate Factor Cafe, which are staffed by unpaid members working long hours under religious obligation. But beneath the surface, ex-members describe a world of control, abuse, and isolation. Children are homeschooled, denied access to outside media, and subjected to corporal punishment using thin rods. In Germany, authorities removed 40 children from a 12 Tribes compound after undercover footage revealed systematic child abuse. The group has also been accused of racist teachings, homophobia, and labor exploitation. Former members report being cut off from family, forced into silence, and discouraged from contacting outsiders. Despite these controversies, the 12 Tribes continues to operate in the U.S., Canada, Australia, Europe, and South America, with an estimated 5,000 members worldwide. Their communities may look peaceful, but their doctrine demands total obedience. It began with a dream of equality. It ended with over 900 dead in the jungles of Guyana. This is the story of the People's Temple. Founded in 1954 in Indianapolis, Indiana, by Jim Jones, the People's Temple started as a progressive Christian church focused on racial integration and social justice. Jones preached a blend of Christianity, socialism, and utopian ideals, attracting thousands of followers, many of them African American. In the 1960s, Jones moved the group to California, establishing churches in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and gaining political influence. But behind the scenes, members reported abuse, manipulation, and financial exploitation. In 1977, facing media scrutiny, Jones relocated hundreds of followers to a remote jungle settlement in Guyana, South America. He called it Jonestown, a supposed socialist paradise. Life in Jonestown was harsh. Members worked long hours, endured surveillance, and were cut off from the outside world. Jones's health declined, and his paranoia grew. On November 18, 1978, U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan visited Jonestown to investigate abuse allegations. As he and others tried to leave, they were ambushed and murdered at a nearby airstrip. Hours later, Jones ordered a mass suicide. Over 900 people, including 304 children, died after drinking a cyanide-laced beverage. Some are forced. Others believe they were making a political statement. It was the largest loss of American civilian life in a deliberate act until 9/11. In a quest for spiritual ascension, a group of people believed a spaceship would take them to a higher dimension. Their story ended in a mass suicide that shocked the world. Heaven's Gate was founded in 1974 in the U.S. by Marshall Applewhite, known as Dew and Bonnie Nettles. They believed they were the two witnesses from the Book of Revelation and that a spaceship would take them to the next level, a higher plane of existence. Members lived ascetically, rejected human nature, and some even underwent castration to free themselves from earthly impulses. In March 1997, 39 members committed ritual suicide in a house in Rancho Santa Fe, California, believing a spaceship behind the Hale-Bopp comet would carry them to a new dimension. They wore identical black robes, Nike sneakers, and left farewell messages about graduating from planet Earth. Applewhite recorded a final video message, saying it was time to leave. Heaven's Gate became synonymous with UFO religions extreme spirituality, and the dangers of isolated belief systems. In 1998, a man named Keith Raniere founded what he claimed was a revolutionary self-help organization. He called it NXIVM. Pronounced NXIVM, the name NXIVM was chosen for its mysterious, futuristic look, though it has no official meaning. Some believe it was designed to evoke a sense of sophistication and exclusivity, much like a pharmaceutical brand or a secret society. Based in Albany, New York, NXIVM marketed itself as a personal development company offering executive success programs, seminars designed to unlock human potential. But beneath the surface, NXIVM was a cult. Raniere, who styled himself as Vanguard, built a loyal following through manipulation, pseudoscience, and psychological control. His teachings, known as rational inquiry, were a blend of pop psychology, mysticism, and authoritarianism. At its peak, NXIVM had over 700 active members, including celebrities, heiresses, and professionals. Among them were Allison Mack, an actress from the TV show Smallville, and Claire Bronfman, heiress to the Seagram liquor fortune. But the true horror of NXIVM emerged in 2017, when whistleblowers revealed the existence of a secret inner circle called DOS, a supposed female empowerment sorority that was, in reality, a system of sexual coercion. Women were pressured into giving collateral, nude photos, confessions, or damaging secrets, and then branded with Raniere's initials near their pelvis. They were forced to obey their masters, maintain strict diets, and submit to Raniere's control. In 2018, Raniere was arrested in Mexico and extradited to the U.S. He was charged with sex trafficking, forced labor, and racketeering. In 2020, he was sentenced to 120 years in prison. NXIVM officially shut down in 2021, but its legacy remains a chilling reminder of how manipulation, charisma, and secrecy can turn a self-help movement into a nightmare. It began with a science fiction writer. It became one of the most secretive and powerful organizations in America. This is the story of Scientology. In 1953, L. Ron Hubbard, author of hundreds of pulp sci-fi novels, founded the Church of Scientology in Camden, New Jersey. His earlier book, Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, had introduced a new form of therapy he called auditing, a process meant to clear the mind of trauma. After Dianetics was rejected by the scientific community, Hubbard rebranded his ideas as a religion. Critics say this move was strategic, designed to gain tax-exempt status and legal protection. At the heart of Scientology is the belief that humans are immortal spiritual beings called thetans, who have lived countless past lives, including in extraterrestrial civilizations. Through expensive auditing sessions, members aim to reach a state called clear and then progress to higher levels known as operating thetan (OT). These levels are secretive and costly. Some members have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to advance. One of the most bizarre teachings, revealed in leaked documents, involves the alien overlord Xenu, who allegedly brought billions of souls to Earth 70 million years ago and trapped them in volcanoes. Scientology is known for its aggressive tactics against critics. Former members have reported harassment, surveillance, and intimidation. The church has been accused of forced labor, family separation, and psychological abuse. In the 1970s, Scientology operatives infiltrated U.S. government offices in a covert operation called Project Snow White, leading to multiple convictions. Today, the church is led by David Miscavige, a reclusive figure accused of abuse by former insiders. Despite the controversies, Scientology maintains a stronghold in Hollywood, with celebrity members like Tom Cruise and John Travolta. The church claims to have millions of followers, but independent estimates suggest fewer than 30,000 active members worldwide. In the haze of 1960s counterculture, a charismatic ex-convict named Charles Manson built a following that would shock the world. He called them his family. Manson was released from prison in 1967 and quickly attracted young, disillusioned followers in San Francisco, mostly women drawn to his charm, music, and apocalyptic philosophy. The group settled at Spawn Ranch, a rundown movie set in Los Angeles, where they lived communally, used LSD, and worshipped Manson as a messianic figure. Manson preached about an impending race war he called Helter Skelter, inspired by a Beatles song. He believed the murders his followers committed would ignite this war and allow him to emerge as a leader of the New World. In August 1969, Manson directed his followers to carry out a series of brutal murders. The most infamous was the killing of actress Sharon Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, and 4 others at her Hollywood home. The next night, they murdered Leno and Rosemary LaBianca in their home. The killings were ritualistic, chaotic, and horrifying. Messages were written in blood, and victims were stabbed dozens of times. Manson didn't commit the murders himself, but he orchestrated them. In 1971, he and several followers were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The Manson family had around 100 members at its peak. Many were young women from middle-class backgrounds, radicalized by Manson's teachings and drug use. Manson died in prison in 2017, but his legacy still haunts pop culture, law enforcement, and the American psyche. American cults reveal a simple truth. Our search for meaning and belonging can be twisted by those who promise easy answers. Always ask questions, even when a leader seems wise. Stay connected with friends and family outside the group. Look for transparency. Healthy communities share information, not hide it. Remember that isolation and secrets often mask harm. May these stories remind us to ask hard questions, seek balanced perspectives, and cherish the freedoms that cults thrive on eroding.